Welcome back to class. We are beginning week 2. Last week I spent a lot of time reviewing the highlights of your syllabi with you. This week I want to focus on some of my guidelines, support for helping you create the safest possible and most supportive class environment we can in Canvas this semester. You will be introducing yourselves to each other on Canvas. You'll be introducing yourself to me, and I hope you will really take the time to, after hearing my intro and reviewing the syllabus, getting your books and starting to read them, hone in on your particular interests in taking this course. We co-create these courses together, so the more you share about what you're most passionate about, what you're most interested in, the more information I have to respond and to try to fit in your interests and your particular goals, aspirations. Depending on your course, we'll be doing some other interesting things, but you will be sharing yourselves with each other and me weekly based on what's comfortable for you to share. So let me give you some guidelines. And these are some of the guidelines I use when I mediate, when I facilitate conflict resolution, peace building, storytelling. I'm going to ask you all to prioritize with me creating a safe space, not only for yourself, but for every other person in this class. That includes me. So mutual respect of everyone is one of our bottom lines. One of the ways we do this, and one of the ways that conflict resolution and peace building does this, is to try our best to suspend judgment. Our minds are very active mechanisms. They're incredible mechanisms. We'll be studying some of the amazing ways and some of the challenging ways. They work to create peace and also react and go into fight flight with conflict. But most human beings have been raised with a lot of judgment. Sadly, we live in a world with a lot of hatred, prejudice, bias. Yeah, it's ugly. But for this class, I'm going to ask you to quiet that mind with each other. I want you to open your minds and consciously, if judgment arises, like, oh, I don't agree with that opinion, I don't like that, whatever the judgment is, we have lots of examples, to quiet that and put it aside so that you can have an open, attentive mind with me and with each other. You'll be doing yourself a service, because I'll tell you, all that internal clutter and chatter gets in the way of your learning. You may not actually be able to see and experience a human being for who they actually are, because your judgment, your opinions get in the way of actually experiencing and understanding that other human being. So suspending judgment is one of the guidelines. Now, most of you are born and raised in California, and I have to tell you, in my experience teaching, I've taught on both coasts, I've guest lectured around the world, and in my experience, California students are the most empathetic students I've ever taught, and that crosses all difference. I don't know what it is about California, but when we practice empathy and support, compassion with each other, support of each other, overall, most of you are star students with this, and that's going to give us a heads up with creating the most supportive class environment we can. And I want you, depending on your course, most of my courses, I encourage you, and Dominguez is a wonderful place to do this, to build more cross-cultural, cross-gender, sexual preference, cross-ability, let's pick out the difference, but more diverse relationships. Get out of your comfort zone with yourself and reach out to somebody new, somebody who you can learn from, and really take advantage. Last time we surveyed Dominguez, I think over 60 languages are spoken here among the faculty, staff, students. So this is an incredibly rich place to experience a multicultural interfaith community. If you can, quiet your hesitation, any kind of fear that you have, and reach out to get to know somebody. Now, I am here to support you with every step of the way. If somebody does not feel safe or supported, I would like to ask that you reach out to me, not to name names. I won't be reprimanding anybody. I won't be disciplining. I have worked with conflict and peace building my entire adult life, so I understand how people can misread, misunderstand each other. It happens all the time, especially when we don't know each other well. But then when we love each other and we know each other intimately, oh my God, it can really, some real challenges can erupt. So I've worked with all of that over the years. What I want you to do is what we call in conflict resolution, separate people from the problem. Tell me about the facts of what happened from your perspective, and we'll do some problem solving so that you can feel safe and supported. And I'm available to do this from the first day of class through the end. It is vital for my classes, given what we do, the risks we take, the experiential education that we do, that you all feel safe and supported. So those are a few of my guidelines. I'm open to any of you requesting additional guidelines. We can co-create this together like I would in a mediation. Let me know, what do you need to feel safe and supported in this class this semester? Thanks. Have a wonderful week.